1600s. The Age of Enlightenment was a major intellectual movement in Europe that emphasized reason, science, and progress. Truth should be discovered through rational thought and empirical evidence. Evidence obtained through direct observation. And here, the point of the observation is out the one, towards the world, which sounds like whirl. So even the ancient Phoenicians had some idea the world was spinning. Sveriges Riksbank, or Swedish Riksbank, is the central bank of Sweden. Founded in 1668, it's the world's oldest surviving central bank. The allegorical female figure on the front of the 1909 Sveriges Riksbank 1,000 kroner note represents Sverige, Sweden personified, sometimes interpreted more broadly as an embodiment of national strength, liberty, and prosperity. 25 years later, 1694, the Bank of England, the central bank of the United Kingdom, and the model on which most modern central banks have been based. The image of Britannia is the national personification of Britain as a helmeted female warrior holding a trident and shield, an image first used by the Romans in classical antiquity. Wikipedia reports the effect of industrialization shown by purchasing power parity per capita between 1750 and 1900 in 1990 US dollars for the First World, including Western Europe, United States, Canada, and Japan, and Third World nations of Europe, Southern Asia, Africa, and Latin America. PPP reflects the value of all goods and services produced in a country divided by the population, accounting for differences in cost of living and inflation. Beginning in Great Britain around 1760, the Industrial Revolution had spread to continental Europe and the United States by about 1840. This transition included going from hand production methods to machines, new chemical manufacturing, and iron production processes, the increasing use of water and steam power, the development of machine tools, and the rise of the mechanized factory system. Output greatly increased, and the result was an unprecedented rise in population growth. Beginning in 1775, the Atlantic Revolutions, a revolutionary wave that occurred with the aim of ending monarchical rule, emphasizing the ideals of the Enlightenment. The largest of these early revolutions was the American Revolution. We, the people. Déclaration des droits de l'homme et du citoyen. The Declaration of the Rights of Man and of the Citizen. Sous les auspices de l'être suprême, under the auspices of the Supreme Being. Le but de toute association politique est la conservation des droits naturels et imprescriptibles de l'homme. Ces droits sont la liberté, la propriété, la sûreté et la résistance à l'oppression. The aim of every political association is the preservation of the natural and imprescriptible rights of man. These rights are liberty, property, security, and resistance to oppression. King Louis XVI, found guilty of high treason and executed. Napoleon's penis. 1821, allegedly removed after his death. Would be a coincidence if he was really a she. AI making a case. Napoleon Bonaparte was recorded as being 5'2" in French units, which is equivalent to approximately 5'6½", 26 years after France adopted the metric system in 1795. He had a small head, a flatter forehead than prominent, small and delicate hands. Daguerreotype, the first publicly available photographic process, widely used during the 1840s and 50s. 1848, the Communist Manifesto. Written in German, the 23-page pamphlet was titled Manifest der Kommunistischen Partei, written by Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels, and had a dark green cover. Originally published in London, it posited all past societies have been shaped by conflicts between oppressor and oppressed, lords versus serfs, bourgeois versus proletariat. Under capitalism, driven by profit, which translates to social power, the bourgeois exploit the proletariat, the working class. By abolishing private ownership of factories, land, and resources, and replacing it with collective ownership, communism aims to end this exploitation. The goal is a classless society where wealth and power are shared, and production is for human need, not profit.
Dark and lonely on the summer night. Kill my landlord. Kill my landlord. The watchdog barking. Do he bite? Kill my landlord. Kill my landlord. Slip in his window. Break his neck. Then his house I start to wreck. Got no reason. What the heck? Kill my landlord. Kill my landlord.
Just by the stats, it's plausible. GPTAI reports a 7-year age difference. 1843, Marx moves from Germany to Paris. Strauss in Vienna. 45, Marx moves to Brussels. Strauss performs in Germany and Hungary. 49, Marx forced into exile in London, staying there permanently, living in poverty, not traveling. Strauss still performing in Austria and continues touring. GPT concludes, not completely impossible, requiring a sophisticated cover-up by a well-resourced intelligence operation. What are the odds? Just by the stats, it's plausible. GPT AI reports. Friedrich Engels, German philosopher, co-founder of Marxist theory. Ulysses S. Grant, 18th President, Civil War General. A 2-year and 2-inch difference. Wikipedia also notes some other coincidences. Grant purportedly was married in 1848 when the Communist Manifesto was first published, then transferred to a desolate outpost in upstate New York. Engels' first wife, Mary Burns, dies in 1863, the year before Grant becomes commanding general of the U.S. Army. Then Engels is remarried in 78, the year after Grant leaves office as President of the United States. There is no motion picture or sound recording of Friedrich Engels, who purportedly died in 1895 at 74 years old. But wouldn't he be a person of particular interest? Even though motion pictures were just emerging in the 1890s and sound recording in 1880s, why wouldn't there be motion or sound recordings of one of the most famous political propagandists in history? Similarly, for Ulysses S. Grant, who purportedly died a decade earlier at the age of just 63. The British Raj was the colonial rule of the British Crown on the Indian subcontinent, lasting from 1858 to 1947. The American Civil War. Decades of controversy over slavery came to a head when Abraham Lincoln, who opposed slavery's expansion, won the 1860 presidential election. 7 southern slave states responded to Lincoln's victory by seceding from the United States and forming the Confederacy. Electric light was common in wealthier urban centers. U.S. rural electrification programs in the 1930s. The graphophone, sound recording and reproduction. Victoria, Queen of UK and Ireland, dies after a reign of 64 years. Large-scale production line manufacturing of affordable cars. Just anticipating Lenin and the Bolsheviks' rise to power in Russia, U.S. President Wilson signs the Federal Reserve Act, the central banking system of the United States. And on the back of the dollar bill, Annuit Septis Novus Ordo Seclorum. Septis, related to the word aptos, a way to put together, touch. Novus, meaning new. Ordo is order. Seclorum, related to the English word sequence, or of the ages. The popular understanding of Annuit is he nods, the third person implying God or Satan, which seems sus to me. I'm not fluent in Latin, but I think more likely related to the English word annuity, a fixed sum of money paid to someone each year, typically for the rest of their life. And on the front of the $50 bill, the 18th U.S. President of the United States, Ulysses S. Grant. At the end of World War I, the misnamed Spanish flu, or H1N1, pandemic spreads worldwide, making it the deadliest in history. 1917, the Bolsheviks, led by Vladimir Lenin, seized power in the Red October Revolution, later renaming themselves the Communist Party of the Soviet Union. Motion picture film. Russian Imperial Romanov family of Tsar Nicholas II, shot and bayoneted to death by Bolshevik revolutionaries. Mein Kampf, My Struggle, by Adolf Hitler. Just by the stats, it's plausible. Vladimir Lenin, Russian revolutionary and founder of the Soviet Union. George Arliss, English actor, playwright, and early Oscar winner. A 2-year and 2-inch difference.
Now that my honourable friend Mr. Gladstone, with his customary eloquence and tact, has expressed his customary disapproval. The issue, gentlemen, is this. Whether you are content to be a comfortable England, meeting in due course for the sad inevitable fate, or whether you will be a great country, an imperial country, a country where your sons, when they rise, will rise to paramount positions and obtain not merely the esteem of their own countrymen, but the esteem of the world. Perhaps you think that because no war clouds darken the present horizon, that there is no danger. You ever seen one of those marine landscapes of the coast of South America? You behold a range of exhausted volcanoes. Not a flame flickers on a single tiny peak. But beneath, there is a dormant danger that will one day awake. Seldom in anything half so serious.
And you are about to suggest to me that the Bank of England should back you?
I am, until Parliament meets again. An Egyptian ditch. That's rather neat. But it won't be ducks and drakes, because the government will be at your back.
How do I know?
I say so.
Suppose the government falls.
Your man is always falling. What difference does that make? Don't the Conservatives invariably go on just where the Radicals left off, and vice versa? Besides, in this case it hasn't time to fall. This thing must be done within the next 3 weeks, long before Parliament meets. He's missed his opportunity.
Come, dear. Everybody will wonder what's the matter with you.
All right, my dear. Let's get hold of Hugh Myers. Hugh Myers, the banker. That's the man, Mary. That's the man. Talk seriously. Keep your brave face for your jokes. The man who never makes jokes is a standing joke to the world. I see. I was thoroughly justified in thinking well of you. When a very young man speaks an unpleasant truth to a very old one, he shows absolutely reckless courage. I'm glad you're asking me to help you. The Indian mutiny burst upon us. When our soldiers froze and starved in the Crimea, when we deserted Denmark, and when we remained idle while France and Germany flew at each other's throats. And just that talk that has lost us all our friendships. England is as isolated as a ship lying off the coast. Our crew know nothing of what we call the language.
Bertrand Russell, British philosopher and logician. Leon Trotsky, born Lev Bronstein, Russian revolutionary and Marxist theorist. A 7-year and 1-inch difference. Just by the stats, it's plausible.
What do you do? Won't you sit down?
Esteemed audience, you will easily understand if I begin my short address to you in my very imperfect English by addressing my warm thanks to the Mexican people and to the man who leads them with his merit and courage, praising cardinals. The monstrous and absurd accusation when hurled at me and my family, and my mind and myself were under the lock and key in our Norwegian government without being able to defend ourselves. Mexican government opened the doors of this magnificent country and say to us, here you can freely defend your rights and honor.
We have to accustom ourselves.
It's not a sympathy for myself, my ideas, which has motivated President Cardenas, but I feel fidelity to his own ideas. All the more victorious, then, is his act of democratic hospitality so rare his days. Stalin's crime against me is built upon false confessions, extorted by Madre and inquisitorial methods in the interests of the ruling clique.
My parents died when I was
crime in history more terrible,
and so I was brought up by my grandparents.
Execution than the Moscow trials of Zinoviev Kamenev
Yes, I
in the
knew nothing about my grandfather. He was born
developed
In
not
the
from
early years of the
communism,
French Revolution,
not from socialism,
he
but
was
from
a member
Stalinism.
of Parliament
It is from
by
the
Napoleon
irresponsible
Bonaparte.
despotism of the bureaucracy over the people.
In common with all the
What is now my
Greek
principal
followers
task?
of Fox,
To reveal the
he thought
truth,
English hostility to
show and
Napoleon was
demonstrate
excessive,
that the
and
true
he
criminals
visited Napoleon in Elba.
hide under the cloak of the
He was
accusers. What will be the next
It was
step
he
in
who
this direction?
introduced the Reform Bill in
The
1832,
creation of an American,
starting
an European,
Road towards
and
democracy.
subsequently also an
He was Prime
international
Minister
commission
during
of
the
inquiry,
Mexican War,
composed of people who
1848.
incontestably enjoy authority
I
and
remember
public
him quite
consideration and confidence.
See, he belonged
I
to
undertake to present to such commission all my files, thousands of personal and open letters,
And
in which the developments of my thought and my action is reflected day by
world where
day
I was young
without any gaps.
was a
I have
silent
nothing
world,
to hide.
a world where all
Dozens of
kinds
witnesses
of things
who are
that
abroad
have now
assess
disappeared
invaluable
were thought to
facts
be
and
going to last
evidence
forever.
which will shed light
Dawn
on the
on
Moscow
people's
framings.
See,
The work of the commission
English people certainly regarded English naval supremacy as a sort of law of nature. Britannia ruled the
a
waves.
counter-trial is
It
necessary
occurred to us that
to cleanse the atmosphere
Bismarck
of the
was
germs
regarded as
of deceit,
a
felony, falsification, and
it
frame
was thought of as a
was
sort of
called
uneducated
Stalin's
farmer.
police, the gateway
It was
to
assumed that
which
the
has
influence of
hold
Goethe
the
and Hitler
level
would
of the
gradually
Nazi
bring
dictator.
Germany back to a more civilized
Esteemed
point of view.
audience, you may have
And,
many
moreover,
varying
We
attitudes
thought of Germany as
toward
only
my
a land
ideas
power.
and my
Germany had
political
at that time
activity
no
for 40
navy.
years.
We weren't
An
at all afraid of
impartial
Germany. In fact,
and
liberal
inquiry
opinion
will
was more
confirm
favorable
that there
to
is not
Germany
a
than to
stake
France.
on
at that
my honor, both personal and political.
Bismarck himself
Profoundly convinced that the right
compared
is on my
Germany
side,
and
I
England
wholeheartedly
an
salute
elephant
the
and a whale,
citizens of the new world.
formidable in its own element, but no danger to each other. That was how we felt, so we were not afraid of Bismarck at all.
Joseph Stalin, communist leader of the Soviet Union. Walter Huston, Canadian-American actor. Just by the stats, it's plausible. ChatGPT AI reports a 5-year and 7-inch difference. And from what I can see, there's no way Huston was close to 6 feet. Welcome to the bottom of the rabbit hole.
Thousand men say go searching for gold. After 6 months, one of them is lucky. 1 out of 1,000. This find represents not only his own labor, but that of 999 others to boot. That's 6,000 months or 500 years, scrabbling over mountains, going hungry and thirsty. Now, the gold, mister, is worth what it is because of the human labor that went into the finding and the getting of it.
Never thought of it just like that.
Gold itself ain't good for nothing except for making jewelry with gold teeth. Fine resolution. After months of sweating yourself dizzy and going short on provisions and finding nothing, you finally come down to 15,000. Lord, let me just find 5,000. Never ask for anything more the rest of my life.
$5,000 is a lot of money.
Here in this joint seems like a lot, but I tell you, to make a leap strike couldn't be taken away. Not even a miserable death would keep you trying to add 10,000 more. 10, you want to get 25, 25, you want to get 50, 50, 100, like roulette. One more turn, always one more. I've dug in Alaska, Canada, and Colorado. I was in the cloud in the British Honduras, so I'd know the fair back home and almost knock over the throw me the sea bread caught. Dug in California and Australia, all over the world practically. I know what gold does to men's souls. That's the gold. That's what it makes of us. Never known prospector yet that died rich. Unfortunately, should have blown in trying to find another. I'm no exception to the rule. Sure, I'm an odd old bone now, but say, don't you guys think the spirit's gone? But you gotta have a stomach for loneliness. Some guys go nothing with it. On the other hand, going to the partner too is dangerous. As long as there's no find, the noble brotherhood will last. The gold begin to grow. That's where the trouble starts. Any time of the day, on the waiting list, always at you. I got 300 American bucks ready cash in the bank. 200 of them all set in the bank. Last money got in the world, and that's gone. I'm all finished up. You don't take a risk, make it boom. How much dough you guys got to put in?
$50 a penny, you've got the same.
Hardly enough to buy the tools and weapons and essential provisions. What? We need weapons. Meat's one thing and bandits another. I knew a fellow once who could smell gold like a jackass can smell water. Climb mountains so high they rise above the clouds. Tigers so big and strong you can find trees with furs in their mouths. Good. Glad to hear such tall tales, because that means mighty few outsiders have ever set foot there. Fool's gold. Oh, not quaint to read stuff hereabouts. We walked over it 4 or 5 times. The place yesterday that looked like West England, but the water from washing the sand was 11 miles away. And the other place, well, there wasn't enough gold to pay us a good day's wage. Next time you fellows straight away, me, we'll leave it to last water. Sometimes be more precious than gold. I got 2 very dead fellows to kick at the first raffle race and hide in the
Что же касается Советского Союза, то его интересы вообще не отделены от дела мира во всем мире. Понятно, что наша партия не может оставаться в долгу у братских партий. И она сама должна свою очередь доказывать им поддержку. А также
I said the most personally, as far as being the most honest, no one can say, oh, no, not dirty, baby. How you boys, I wouldn't talk or even think about them. Ain't good for your health. Got something up your nose? Round up all the birds and herd on that thicket over there. Dobbs, let you and me wrap up all our belongings and top them in the trench.
Предпринял реальные ликвидации коммунистического помещичьего гнета.
Well, I got more than I need anyhow. That's what I got enough to last me out. Fourth, mucho gusto, como no, amigos. Get into our cafe. Say what you want right off the bat and consider polite among Indians.
Этим они выражали надежду, что успехи ударной бригады облегчат положение народам, томящимся под гнетом капитализма. Я думаю, что наша партия оправдала эти надежды, особенно в период Второй мировой войны, когда Советский Союз, разгромив немецкую, японскую, фашистскую тиранию, избавил народы Европы и Азии от угроз фашистского врага. Конечно, очень трудно было выполнять эту почетную роль, пока ударная бригада была одна единственная. И пока приходилось ей выполнять эту передовую роль почти в одиночестве. Но это было теперь совсем другое дело. Теперь, когда от Китая и Кореи, Чехословакии и Венгрии появились новые ударные бригады в лице народно-демократических стран, теперь нашей партии легче стало бороться. Работа пошла особое внимание заслуживают коммунистические, демократические, республиканские партии, которые еще не пришли к власти и которые продолжают работать под готовой буржуазных драгоновских лагерей. Им, конечно, трудно. Однако им не столь трудно работать, как было трудно нам, русским коммунистам, в период царизма. Когда малейшее движение вперед,
made off with that good and on his way north.
Yeah.
Well,
русские коммунисты выстояли.
What do you mean?
I mean, you're not real killers go. I think he's on it.
Добились победы.
Almost.
То же самое будет
You two fellows out there in the depths of the wilderness with 100,000.
не столь трудно будет работать
Believe me.
этим партиям в сравнении с русскими царского периода.
I'm just to make sure.
Потому, во-первых,
Might have been young, but out there would be the one that
такие примеры борьбы,
maybe wouldn't have fallen, but I reckon I sure enough would have been tempted.
какие имеются в Советском Союзе и в народно-демократических странах.
Now, find that
Следовательно, они
in a goods bag.
могут учиться на ошибках и успехах этих стран и тем облегчить свою работу. Потому, повторюсь, что сама буржуазия
And you went
стала
long.
другой.
Ah, there's a lot of hard riding. You wouldn't be up to it. You aren't
Серьезным образом стала более реакционной,
Don't worry.
потеряла связи с народом, тем ослабилась идея. Понятно, что это обстоятельство должно также облегчить работу революционных и демократических партий.
Yeah, fine, it's done.
Раньше буржуазия позволяла себе либеральный шанс,
Don't you stand?
отстаивала буржуазию демократических.
Им
создавалась популярность народа. И теперь от либерализма не осталось и следа. Есть так называемые свободы личности.
Heard the bandits talking while they were waiting for the shot. They thought they bags of sand hidden among the hides to make it weigh more. And Dobbs went to sell them in Durango.
А все прочие граждане считаются своим человеческим материалом. Пригодным лишь для эксплуатации. Растоптан принцип равенства людей и наций. Он заведен принципом полноправия эксплуататорского вещества. Бесправием эксплуатируемого большинства граждан. Англия продолжит демократическую свободу выборов. Я думаю, что это знамя придется поднять вам, представителям коммунистических демократических партий, и понести его вперед, если хотите собрать вокруг себя большинство народа. Больше некому его поднять. Раньше буржуазия считалась главой нации. Она отстаивала права и независимость нации, ставя их превыше всего. Теперь не осталось и следа от национального принципа. Теперь буржуазия продает права и независимость нации за доллар. Знамя национальной независимости и национального суверенитета выброшено за борт. Нет сомнений, что это знамя
I'll have 3 meals a day if I want them, roof over my head, and drink every now and then to warm me up. I'll be worshipped and treated like a high priest for telling people things they want to hear. Men are born, not made.
Если хотите сказать, руководящие силы
Even you take off your hat when you see how respected I am.
так обстоит.
My only thing before you they wanted to make me their legislature, their whole legislature.
Понятно, что все эти
I don't know what that means, but it must be the highest honor they can bestow.
должны обличить
Yeah, more
коммунистических и
that's your life.
демократических партий.
How about yourself? What do you aim to do?
Если
I haven't got any idea.
Oh, you're young yet.
следовательно, есть основания рассчитывать на успех
Professor been ongoing?
и победу братских
It's my
партий.
share what the birds not to bring if you use the money to buy a ticket to Dallas. See Cody's widow. Doesn't like it. And besides, it's dry and the fruits of
Живут и здравствуют руководители
Ага.
братских партий.
Goodbye, cousin.
Там здравствует мир между народом.
World War II. Transvestite Marlene Dietrich plays Adolf Hitler, and the fake Holocaust is scripted.
I got up, I said, "Oh, that's not for me, I think you're wrong." Well, he said, "Sit down and you're going to play the part." Well, I didn't think I would ever do that, I never thought I could play this part at all. And he fought the entire Ufer of Berlin. Everybody. He fought Jannings, he fought everybody.
What did Jannings say?
Jannings didn't want me at all, no.
But he changed his mind?
No, he never changed his mind.
You had a fight with Jannings in the film?
No, I never fight with anybody. I mean, in the part, you mean, in the role.
Yes,
in the role, yes, that's different. But in person, I never fight, no. I always go back to the places I like.
What about Germany? Sorry, what about Germany?
Well, I didn't go back to Germany. I was in Germany once in 1960. But
Were you
it was
unhappy with the audience or unhappy?
No, the audiences are wonderful. It's the press that's bad. And, they put bombs in the theater, and who wants to be bombed at this time?
I've noticed many Germans here outside.
Oh, no, the German audience is wonderful. It was just the press that just didn't like me.
One side is like one reaching hand, empty, open. A lie is one-handed, false or fact. Truth, two-handed, holding all meaning in between. When it comes to the outside of the lone one, the apparent.
My connection with Bergen
were still inside the camp.
Filmmakers were really trying to make almost as atrocity propaganda.
Attempt to produce something.
Where the cinema's not yet opened,
the anticipated terrorist.
I don't think there was a conspiracy to
putting the reels together as if you're there behind the camera.
You got people out there going crazy. They don't know what to call you. They don't know if to call you 50, 50. What's the proper saying though? How do you say it?
I say 50 Cent. I say 50.
There is really only one law. Practical, real world, under the sun, reason.
And then people were like, 50, 50, it's 50, 50, it's... I say 50.
Alongside this realm, this reality, reflecting on the one apparent, the manyness side of the one all, the world. It's 10,000 years overdue to call out the liars, the endless fairy tale storytellers who partake. We got it in writing, in books, TV, internet, on our phones, in the palm of our hand. It's all Disney, people, opiate of the masses. Here now is AI.